What up, guys? It's Wire Guitars back here again. I gotta be super quiet. So we're gonna be doing an ASMR replay analysis, kind of like the Brood one that I did like 3 years ago. It is 6:05 a.m. my time, and I woke up about an hour and a half ago and I ate some food, and now I can't get back to sleep. So I figured what a good time it is to just look over a replay that actually this was the replay that got me to Immortal today, or yesterday, technically speaking. As you can see, these two Pango games were unranked. Played this game, then I thought I was going to get Immortal off of this game, ended up not getting Immortal off of this game, and then I played this game, and then I got Immortal off it. So rank 4260, 5650 MMR, and Slardar was the hero that got me to it. So I want to do a replay analysis of this game. I'll pause right now. As with all my replay analyses, I always try to start with the picking stage. In this particular case, I just pick Slardar. You'll notice this is a bit of a trend of me, as I talk about how important it is, the picking stage in Dota, because it's an integral part of drafting a well-rounded team that doesn't have any weaknesses. You shore up all of your team's weaknesses, you bolster your team's strengths, and then you have a strong, solid team composition for all stages in the game. But in this game, not gonna lie, I picked Slardar. I had this techies in my last game. He picked Zeus like 3rd or 4th pick, support. So he was like kind of griefing a little bit. I mean, he didn't say he was, but like typically speaking, if you're going to pick a 4 position like Zeus, you have really no reason trying to conceal that pick. And you're kind of griefing your team if you do that. Like, I don't necessarily even mind Zeus 4 or like a techies 4, but I don't think it's so integral that you need to pick that hero such that you force one of your core roles to pick first in the first phase. This game he didn't make me do that. This game I got to pick 3rd or I think 4th. It didn't matter because of course your 3rd and 4th pick are at the same draft or are in the same phase. But I digress. It's not super hardcore about that, but just know that I picked Slardar. I think I saw Bane and I thought to myself already, like, oh fuck, it's a Bane lane, so like my lane's gonna be hard. So at least I want to pick a hero that doesn't get completely shut down by Bane. And I'd say Slardar is somewhat of that kind of hero. There's definitely some ways this Bane could have played better, I think, to have extended his hero's like natural advantage as a hero, which is like Bane is a very powerful lane hero. And again, like this Bane could have played better to really play into that strength. But Slardar is a hero that has naturally very high base armor, very high base like HP. You know, you have 600 HP, 680 HP at level 1 with the circle and a branch, of course. But either way, like you're definitely a tanky hero at level 1. You have pretty high base movement speed at 300. Like you're not gonna. It's very rare that you're just gonna get ran down. So I think Slardar, the hero, plays really well into strong support picks. But again, like I wasn't really thinking too much about that. I think I just saw Bane and was like, okay, I'm just gonna pick Slardar, fuck this. And I didn't think too much about like all the different ways in which like Slardar interacts with Bane outside of just I want to pick a hero that doesn't completely get shit on. So I picked Slardar. Also, you're pretty good against Slardar in the mid game, but I digress about that. You go for the rune. Slardar is a really good hero to go for the rune because you have a stun. Stuns enable you to get runes, right? Because you can stun the enemy hero and then pick up the rune. I don't think that needs too much of an explanation. But with the techies, it's really good because, of course, they're going to, they didn't need to do this, but they're going to want to like really get the rune, not conceptualize the fact that like I have a stun and techies has like a 400 damage nuke, and so we just kind of ruin their lane right there. I think that's a huge mistake the enemy team made, going for this rune and not recognizing that we have a stun plus techies. But I digress. Like they didn't do that. They didn't play into that fact. So we'll take 2 free salves basically because, well, Void's not going to salve. Bane didn't even salve. I don't know. They just took a fuck ton of damage and had to. I think Void's going to have to use 2 tangos here, or he'll just sit under his. I'll just sit under his tower and take that shit. Either way. Sorry, either way. So yeah, starting items. I forgot to mention starting items. I think my starting items could have been a little bit better here. I wanted a Ring of Protection because I knew I was going to get right click down a lot. If you don't know anything about Bane, Bane has really high base damage, high base movement speed, high base armor. The hero just likes to trade, right? And he has one of the best trading tools in the game in Brain Sap. Like the hero just likes to right click you a bunch, and then Brain Sap you when it gets low, because the creeps are hitting him or you're hitting him back. And so Ring of Protection, even though like, of course Brain Sap is magical damage, Ring of Protection is really useful against his base damage, which is pretty high. So that's one of the reasons I went Ring of Protection. Also, a lot of Void's damage, if he's going to be damaging me, and creeps for that matter as well, is going to be right clicks. Like, it's just a lot of physical damage in this lane, so I figured the Ring of Protection was a good buy for that. And then I'm trying to rush this Bracer. I think Bracer is a bit of a mistake. Bracer gives you a tad bit of sustain because it gives you 0.75 HP regen, and Slardar's a hero, like I mentioned earlier, with his base stats, who, you know, because you have 300 base movement speed, you don't really need like boots or a windlace immediately. But I think I could have like maybe tried to get like a little bit less stats here, like maybe Sans the branch, like get rid of the branch, use the bounty gold to get like a stick. The problem there is that I wouldn't have tangos on the way. I don't think I have tangos on the way anyways, do I? Yeah, I don't have tangos on the way either way. Okay, yeah, I am saving up, I think, for a stick here, which isn't bad. Basically what I'm trying to say is my starting items should have been more geared around the fact that Bane is going to brain sat me a lot in lane, and I'm going to need some sort of means of leveraging that both through extra regen in the form of an extra set of tangos and an early stick. Which you'll see I got this early stick going, but yeah, okay, this is the correct decision. When I get my early stick, I don't immediately ferry it out. I waited for those extra 2 creeps that I was pretty much guaranteed because Void was not in a position to deny them to get those creeps and then get an extra 90 gold and then get an extra set of tangos. So not super bad, but like one of the other reasons why I dislike my starting item build is I'm rushing this Bracer afterwards. And like I said, Bracer gives you a little bit of a sustain because it gives you 0.75 HP regen, but something I've been meaning to try a lot recently on Slardar is getting an early Wraith Band, actually. And we'll talk about that for a second. So why would you get an early Wraith Band on a strength hero? You may be asking. Well, there's several reasons. First of all, Wraith Band does give strength. It does give 2 strength, so it's not like it's giving you no damage whatsoever. Now, of course, Bracer gives you significantly more damage. It gives you +5 strength, and it gives you +3 actual damage. Like you'll see if I hover over the wrist beat, or I guess I can't hover there. As I hover over Bracer, Bracer gives you +5 strength and +3 damage. That's +8 damage total, right? Whereas Wraith Band gives you 2, because Wraith Band gives you +2 strength and no damage. So of course it gives you less damage, like raw damage, but I think it gives you overall greater DPS because it gives you 10 attack speed, and Slardar's a hero that does a lot of his damage through his 3rd skill, which is Bash. This is where a lot of your DPS, so to speak, will come out. And giving 10 attack speed to a hero that needs attack speed to proc his primary damage skill in the early game more often, I think is more worthwhile than getting an extra 8 damage for last hitting, because that's essentially why you're getting the Bracer, right? Is for a little bit of extra sustain, extra stats for an all-in, and then of course extra damage for last hitting. Because if you're getting extra damage on Bracer for anything else, then it makes no sense. You may as well just get a Wraith Band. Like if you're saying, oh, I got a Bracer because I want to do extra right-click damage, it's like, well, if you're trying to do extra right-click damage, get a Wraith Band because that'll help you auto-attack the enemy hero quicker, thus proccing more bashes. And the other reason, like side note, not super side note, because I'm still talking about the Wraith Band item, but the other reason why I think Wraith Band is really good, in addition to giving you 10 attack speed through the 5 agility and 5 attack speed that it gives, which combine to 10 attack speed, it also gives you like 2.5 armor, right? Because it gives you 5 agility and then 1.5 armor. So it ends up giving you like around 2.5 armor. That's like a ring of protection and a third or so. Like that's like 1.3 times what a ring of protection gives you on top of the stats that it already gives you. Like it's really cost efficient as an early game trading item. It makes your effective HP pool really high against heroes that just right click you a bunch. I haven't done the math on this, and the math would be very tricky because it would depend on your HP value and what armor thresholds you're getting brought to, but it might actually make you tankier than a Bracer in some circumstances, and then especially, like I said earlier, on a hero like Slardar, it definitely gives you more DPS in the early game if all you're concerned about is proccing your Bash of the Deep. So I think I should be rushing a Wraith Band here. Against this lane, it would have been a perfect time to try it, but I did not, so I think there's a bit of a mistake in that respect, but Bracer's still a fine item. One thing that you definitely want to keep in mind as on Slardar is you probably want to get like a stat boosting item before you get something like boots or power treads or anything like that, or even windlace. And the reason for that is because you're just a fucking bully, dude. Like Slardar's that kid that like pushes you down in lunch class and spits on you while he's asking you to give him your lunch money, and then like when you finally give him your lunch money, like he'll spit like on you again or something. He'll hack a big loogie and make sure that you really hate your life. Like Slardar is that kind of guy that likes to push early game advantages because he just starts the game with one of those, with an early game advantage. Like you are such a powerful hero. You have high base armor, as I mentioned all these things earlier, but you have decent base movement speed. 300 base movement speed is nothing to scoff at. Most heroes in the game that are offlaners, at least, have like 285, 290, right? I think Night Stalker has 295. Like, and that's one of the only other heroes that I play that's even remotely quick. I guess Abaddon has 325 base movement speed, but Abaddon doesn't have fucking 5 armor, right? Of all these heroes that I play, like the Sand King, you have 285 movement speed on Sand King. I know this. I'm a genius. I memorized this shit. Bat Rider 285 movement speed. I think Beastmaster has like 300, maybe 305. Can you check? It's the about section, right? Yeah, Beastmaster has 305, but Beastmaster has 2 armor. Although his agi probably brings him up to like 5 or something. Like, what I'm trying to say is Slardar is a decently quick early game hero that has very high base armor and pretty decent base damage. Those 3 stats combined together usually mean you're a bully. Like, if you have high base damage, high base armor, and high base movement speed on a melee hero, that means you can keep in range of heroes because of your movement speed quite easily, usually. Depending on the lane, but usually if you have high base movement speed, that's what that stat means. If you have high base armor, that means that it's hard for enemies to right click you, and if you have high base damage, it makes it easier. That makes it easier for you to right click them. So those 3 stats combined together, again, like I said, they just blend together to make this hero a big fat bully, and that's kind of how you want to play him. And when you're playing bully lanes, typically stats are a good way to like be in your face about your bulliness. And so Slardar is no exception. So that's why, again, like usually you want to get a stat boosting item before you get something like a Power Treads. Now, Power Treads is a really powerful item on Slardar, and it's not something you want to necessarily delay too long if you're going to get it. There are some games where you can justify getting phase boots, but I wouldn't recommend it usually. I think Power Treads is a very powerful boot selection on this hero, and it's typically speaking an item that you want to get pretty quickly on this hero. And the reason for that is kind of similar to why you want to get like a Wraith Band or something like that early on. Power Treads gives you movement speed. Movement speed lets you stay, like, you know, for a hero like Slardar, movement speed is king because it's how you get in range to hit people. If you're hitting heroes on Slardar, I say this all the time, on heroes like Slardar, on heroes like, on a lot of heroes, like this is the case, right? If Slark, for instance, I don't play Slark, but if Slark is able to right click you, oftentimes that is like his condition for winning the game. So Slark will build items around that fact. It's a similar concept with Slardar. If Slardar is able to right click you, he's probably winning the game. Like, his hero just does so much if he's able to be right clicking you. So if you can do that, you will win the game.